You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
The views expressed by the individuals during this broadcast are their own opinions, and they may not be the same as those of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You know I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Education and politicians, no one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pace Radio Show. It's January the 12th, 2022, and we are live and coming to you from the Pace Radio Network's Facebook pages as well as on YouTube. Plus, afterwards, we'll be posted in video as well as audio at the Pace Radio Network website at paceradio.net. I'm Al Graham, and my joint host, Kim Cooper, is joining me here tonight for the broadcast. And our guest tonight is a poet, a graphic artist, a writer, and as some will say, slayed cannabis laws here in Canada. But before we learn more, Kim and I are going to have our usual gab session. Are we not, Kim?
Absolutely. We do this every show, but this is a first. We're got a video podcast on the
That's right.
Pace Radio Show, the premier video podcast for this particular show, and the last one to finally climb on board with this new platform that we've launched at the network.
That's right. Yes, we're the last show here on the network to go to the video format. So this is I have done a couple shows with this video end of things, but very few, and never done it with this. So tonight's my maiden voyage to be able to run the camera and things like that, and make sure people are in the right spot. And good thing, Kim, you're here in order to help out if I have any questions.
It's really easy. It's not as complicated as it looks or as it seems. You'll have this down in no time. I have faith.
Yeah. It's it's always that maiden voyage, that first time where you do it and see what happens. So another thing I should mention too about our guest tonight is that our guest was with me on the maiden voyage of the Pace Radio Show 9 years ago, right? And here he is tonight. He's going to be joining us for the maiden voyage of the video version of the Pace Radio Show.
It's right. Fitting. It's fitting that he's our guest tonight. Epic person in the cannabis scene. He advanced our cause by leaps and bounds, and it was not planned for him to do that. So, he had no intentions of launching challenges and everything else. He was kind of thrown into it. It's fitting that, maiden voyage on Pace, maiden video voyage on Pace, and, amazing man with the endurance that he had to pull forth the changes that we see.
Yes, exactly. And, by the information there that I mentioned, poet, graphic artist, what else was on there? A writer. We'll be able to talk to him about that stuff as well, because I know that he loves writing, and we're shared writing space together. Let's just say.
Yeah.
So, all right. Yeah. What do you think? Time to bring him in?
Sure. Let's bring him in.
Normally we do.
It's great to see you as well.
Yeah, normally we do news. We do news at this time of the segment of the show. But on this maiden voyage, I said, hey, let's just talk about going to the video, and then we'll just go right into the show. And the news is the fact that we are video. Oh, and we should let everybody know as well. Thank you, Carolyn, and everybody else for tuning in. The videos as well as the audio version of the shows will now be available at paceradio.net at the website.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll be able to click on big news story.
Right. You'll be able to click on the link at the website. You go to paceradio.net, you'll go to the Pace Radio Show, you click on that, and you'll be able to go to its main webpage, and you'll be able to see all the list of the guests and that in past shows as we go along. And it'll be doing that for all the broadcasts here on the network. So they'll be building a video archive on their page. So,
yeah, we have several, psychedelic space as well as cannabis space. There are several shows, including news shows, interview shows, and general chat. So lots of information to be had now
5
on
live
the Pace Radio
broadcasts.
Network.
Yep, 5 live broadcasts, and then the occasional on the road broadcasts and network specials. So all that stuff will be available at paceradio.net. All right, time to bring our guest. As we've been talking about, writer, poet, friend of ours, longtime cannabis advocate. We'd like to welcome Owen Smith to the Pace Radio Show. Welcome, Owen. How you doing, buddy?
I'm well. Thank you so much, you both, for inviting me back for this, as you say, maiden voyage for the video version.
Hey, well, thank you for taking time out and coming in and chatting with us and sitting around. If we could have a campfire in there in between us, it'd just be like sitting around having a couple tokes and having a good old conversation. There you go, Owen.
I have one roll.
Yeah, one roll. There you go. Yes, we encourage meditating during the broadcast.
There you go.
You see, we have live comments as well. We've got Sarah Campbell just popped up. That's so cool.
Yes, that is Kim controlling the things on the other side. She's getting the messages up there, and it's like you said, it's a learning experience for me.
I'm just gonna lend a hand with the chat.
Yeah. All right. Well,
let you run the board. I'll do the chat for you.
Okay, sounds good. Normally, what we do at this point, Owen, is I throw you over to Kim, and she'll get going with the questions. I'll jump in as we go along. I'm going to play with the camera tonight, and as well as showing all the commercials. So,
absolutely.
Over to you, Kim.
Thanks so much, Al. Owen, it's been a long time since you and I chatted. I think one-on-one was before you left us on the Pace Radio Show. So that was a very, very long time ago. I usually like to start off by giving people an overview of who you are. Every once in a while, we get some newbies in the house tuning into the station that don't have a feel for the cannabis industry's history, and you are a big part of that, my friend. So let's start there. For anybody out there that is unaware of who you are and what you've done, explain to our listeners what happened to draw you into the spotlight in this cannabis community at Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club.
Well, it's been a long journey, that's for sure. Starting off with my family, personal experience of going through cancer with my younger sister, who had melanoma, skin cancer, and died within a year of contracting it. She went through all of the conventional medical treatments, had surgery to remove cancerous nodes, and there was nothing left the doctors could do. And my family, we came here to Canada from England in the 90s, and so they didn't know anything about cannabis. I'd started to learn about it from Ted Smith at Campbellford College and the University of Victoria, where he did weekly Hempology 101 meetings. These were wonderful smoke circles that Ted would stand in the middle of with a megaphone while we all smoked roach joints that he'd saved up from the previous weeks. Getting that sort of crash course in cannabis gave me kind of the idea to bring my sister down to the Victoria Cannabis Buyers Club, like you say, and get cannabis for her treatment. And she experienced quality of life improvements, which are dramatic. Everything that you would take for granted. It's just part of being a normal, healthy person, being able to sleep at night, And without food and sleep, it makes it hard to really do anything else. So cannabis helped me restore those essential health functions. Gita gave me and my family time with my sister before she passed away. And the quality of time, like super quality time. I think about that time and how much it helped my family. Sometimes when something so dire is happening, everything that was petty gets tossed aside. So there was mending and healing going on between members of the family. And, she was at the center of that, this sort of compassionate heart going through this experience that none of us would really want to go through. But cannabis helped her communicate that to us and to me. And so, after that experience, I did really want to go and help Ted and the VCBC more. I had asked to be their baker. And after a little bit of time away, I came back and a position was opened, and Ted hired me to be the baker there in downtown Victoria.
Yes, guy. Good.
And that's when the whole can of worms got opened. VCBC got raided while you were in there, and you were making some stuff, and you got arrested.
Well, they had a separate bakery in an apartment building downtown. Wasn't connected to the club. It was actually under the name of Gail Quinn, who was Ted's partner back in the day.
That's right.
And so when the police came, it talks about whether it was the sound of the music that I was playing, because I was a DJ at the time. And after work, I would go home and I would make DJ sets with dance music and pounding bass. And then I would listen to them during work and see what I liked and didn't like, and then adjust it later in the day. So I was often listening to music loud. And also it was December, about middle of December. So it was very cold outside. And our air scrubber had recently just stopped working. And so it was getting very smelly. So whether it was the smell or the sound, the police came to the apartment, did the whole knock and talk. I basically at that point realized that it was on, and needed to let them in and tell them it was a medical bakery. And they were, let's say, the one police officer who was the lead of these two, he was known to the club already. He had showed up before this in his police wagon, stopped in the middle of the street in front of the shop and called in and said, "Could you, Ted, come out and talk to him?" And so, you're an illegal cannabis dispensary and the police are stopped out front of the shop. Some of the employees are like, uh-oh, what do we do? But he just wanted to speak to Ted, and Ted went out into the street and talked to him. And all he wanted to do was tell Ted about his recent experience in India with his family members who eat cannabis pakoras, and they have a recipe for it, a family recipe, as they have been eating it as part of their sort of annual rituals for as long as they can remember. So this was one of the police officers. His family, he's a connection to cannabis, traditional use that stems back. The third police officer was a man named was David Bratzer, and Al might remember the name. He is a secretary, or he's a big part of the law enforcement against prohibition organization.
Okay. Yes.
They were bigger in the States, but he was.
And these are the people that were arresting you.
That's right. David Bratzer, he'd actually been at our recent cannabis convention at the university, and I had made a poster with his name on it, and it was on the wall in the bakery. So while they were going around snapping pictures of the evidence, they took a picture of the poster with the name of the evidence officer, and he had to be removed from the case for being too close to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would think. Yeah. Yeah.
It definitely
Yeah.
started off with this feeling of being part of something a lot bigger. As much as what the work that I was doing was just filling this important role at the time, there was not really a lot else going on. It was just kind of part of what feels like a much more significant movement, human movement, of working with the cannabis plant.
I would say, like, obviously you saw the benefits through your family experience, and from that you wanted to help others, and that's what you were doing when they knocked on your door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they gave me what they called the rock star treatment, which was that they didn't handcuff me and just let me walk along with them, which was interesting. I'm not sure if everyone would get that kind of nice treatment, but
no, I didn't.
No, neither did I. So there you go. Yeah.
Once they got
you
me
got the red carpet treatment.
Well, I had kind of stood them up in the bakery when they were asking me about it. I had previously thought about this occurrence happening. Like, yeah, the police could show up. I've been working there about a year, and so I'd actually sit nearby the bakery. There's a place to smoke, and I would sit and smoke, and I would think about what I would say when they came in the door, what I want to say to the police. And so I had a bunch of stuff in my head ready to go because I wanted them to feel, even though I know they're doing their job, I wanted to feel the consequences of their actions, because that much can ripple through, and it needs to be understood and felt what was going on. So I need to tell them that the consequences of their actions would be that there would be hundreds of people tonight who wouldn't be able to sleep. There would be a number of people who would be entering into seizures soon. There would be people who wouldn't be able to eat tonight. They would be feeling sick. These are all facts, and so I made
exactly.
sure to let them know that
you're being led away, but yet you're continuing the education with talking to the officers and letting them know what they're doing to these people.
Yeah.
As some say, like, what about the patients?
I could have been more upset, but I think because I rehearsed it in my mind a bunch of times, I felt like the delivery, the clean and clear delivery of the message was the best approach. There ended up being about 10 different officers who had showed up after, and they had some of them had different opinions when they came in, different attitudes. You could tell they had different opinions about cannabis. But when I got into the interrogation room, I was grilled for about 8 hours on and off. They would send a couple of police officers in to talk to me, and they would leave, and then two more would different ones come in and leave. And part of the problem was that I didn't have any ID at the time. So some months before, I had been out at a mountain rave, a big party, all-night dance party on a mountain, and I'd lost all of my belongings. And so I didn't have any ID. So they, at the time, thought that I was somebody else and were testing me to see if I would guess my birth date correctly over and over again. So it was a little bit of a funny thing. They had my student ID card from many years before. It kind of looked like me, and they were holding it up, and we all had a bit of a laugh actually around that. But then what happened was a former somebody who I was on a sports team with. He was a police officer now, walked past the cell and saw me and recognized me and got an ID through him. And the sports team that we were on was a team that was made all around smoking weed. We were called the Blazers. We would blaze, we would make a circle, and someone would take a knee in the middle of the circle and blaze, and we would rotate the next person taking the knee. We were organized cannabis team, and we were very successful.
And he was on the team.
Nice.
He was on the team,
And
then
the
he
cop
became,
was on your team.
he
Perfect.
then became involved in the case. He was one of the officers who was to take the evidence that they taken from the bakery, which while they were talking to me, they were out at the bakery taking everything, bottles of oil, like peanut butter jars of all the different oils and all of our other cannabis ingredients that we had there. And he got one of these jars back to the police office in the basement there, where they keep all the evidence. And in the oils, we mix liquid lecithin, which is very sticky. It's extremely hard to clean off of things. And by some stroke of magic, they dropped one of the bottles of oil onto the concrete floor of the evidence locker, and they had to take a picture of it and include it in the final report, which we all get to see. So that's how I knew about it. But it must have been
what a mess.
Smell.
Oh, yeah.
They would have been cleaning it up for some time, and it would have filled the entire police office with a strong, pungent cannabis.
Oh my God, that's fantastic. I mean, for the horrible thing that you had to go through, it's so cool that there's these little snippets of humor and little snippets of got you all over the place throughout your story. Of course you were charged, and that led to what is now globally known, I think, for sure Canadian known, as the Smith extract trial. It went all the way to the Supreme Court of Canada in Ottawa. Kirk Tusaw spoke on your behalf at the Supreme Court. I was honored to be a part of that trial and to witness that in person, along with many others in the cannabis community. There was so many people there, they had to set up an overflow room downstairs from the courtroom that you guys were all in. I was a part of the overflow room, and about halfway through or a quarter of the way through your trial, the bailiff came in to the overflow room and said, "Okay, you all have to leave." And we're all looking like, what? No, you're not kicking us out of here. Everybody was ready to get defensive. And he's like, no, you're being too loud. And the justices upstairs can hear you, and you're disturbing the case. So they took us down the hall and they put us in a different courtroom that was further away because we were just being too freaking loud.
Well, I can tell you, I was sitting behind Owen and Ted, and it was a complete difference up there. We had to be silent.
Yeah.
Quiet. You could hear.
Yeah, it was silence. I went in there at the beginning. I was in there until the first break, and then I was like, "Oh no, I can't do this." And I was out of there, and I went down to the overflow room where we could all talk.
But when the judges got up and they left and that door shut, then everybody erupted.
You could feel it. You knew what was going on.
Oh, big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Skipping ahead to that day, I mean, you went through all kinds of stuff to get to the Supreme Court. Right. It took a couple of years. It made it to the Supreme Court. You had the backing of the community in full. Everybody was in your corner. And what an epic day that turned out to be. But how nerve-wracking was it when you were there?
Well, by the time we got to the Supreme Court of Canada, I'd already been exonerated. I'd already had my personal charges wiped off. That was before we got to the
Good.
BC Court of Appeal. And the fact that we had won that first round with the judge, the constitutional decision that he made in the first round, it felt to us that was where the real, that was where I was extremely nervous. That room was very tense. And when we won there, it was like, it was huge release, because it was really like after the 4 weeks of the trial as well. There was so much back and forth. There had been, so many arguments made against us as well. We'd had to pick apart that you just didn't really know. You just don't really know. But because we already seen the victory, and then it had been confirmed once more by the 3 judges, we were feeling really confident at the Supreme Court of Canada. And in the room, the fact that on one side of the room there were like 11 lawyers, and we'd only hired one. There was 10 like volunteer lawyers who came in from other organizations, Canadian Civil Liberties Association, and like even the legal associations, just coming in to support us and like make arguments on our behalf. That was just fantastic. It just felt like like the cavalry had arrived.
They'd be what? Would they all be interveners?
Yeah, that's right. They were lawyers for the interveners, and they were all had their arguments, and they were all ready to deliver them. And it was like, who do we give the time to? Who needs the most time? And so it was like, well, we had all the guns, and just like which ones and what order. And it's like, this is. Yeah. And it was great seeing, and you could watch it on YouTube, some of the snippets that they made, but seeing the judge's response to some of the arguments made by the government at this point. I remember the one specifically was about milking cows, which is wonderful. I think it's just so funny that it got to the point that the Canadian government was just so illiterate on cannabis that they were like, is it a cow? Would you believe us that it's a cow? Because they were saying that extracting cannabis was like milking a cow. And the whole strength of our case was our botanical explanation of cannabis and how cannabis actually produces the resin in a unique manner. So those ones, seeing that judge like, I am not following you at all. you just stop right there.
You could really tell. You really could tell from the judges' expressions as well as their questions and comments that they had. I mean, we were watching from the overflow room on the video screens and everything that was showing the judges, and some of their questions and some of their mannerisms. While the Crown was speaking, you could see them sort of shuffling in their chair, raise an eyebrow, sort of the whole was going on while the Crown was talking, and we're all in the overflow room, and that's why they got us moved. That's exactly why we had to move, because we were down there going, yes, and we're screaming at these TV sets, right? While we were downstairs, because we could see the feel in the room was quite evident on where those justices were coming from. By the time we left, I think everybody already knew in their heart and in their mind and in their soul that this was a win. Before we even left that courthouse, I don't think there was very much question that this was not a win. For me, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the lawyers' arguments were just like, what are you going to do? Because the regulations at that time was that we could only smoke cannabis, but yet they were authorizing for children.
That's right.
To be able to use cannabis. So like you gonna do? Give your 8-month-old child a doobie to smoke? Like, come on.
That's right.
Because we had Liam
That's
McKnight.
Right. And
yes,
and Manzi had become part of the intervener, which which to me, it amplified the strength of our case just so much. And after,
and Kim Martell as well with Katie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I always remember that CBC interview that happened later that day with her name's Rosie as the interviewer. But she
Rosie
had
Barton.
Yeah, she had Mandy McKnight on, and also had on some of the political parties. There was a conservative member who was put on the spot by Rosie a couple times, saying, "What is your problem? How can you not give the child the oil? Why does the child have to smoke?" And he had no answer. And it was wonderful to see a political party and representative pinned to the wall like that. Sort of disemboweled, would be a good word for it, sort of scooped his whatever he had left of his conscience away. It was something to see. It just makes you wonder how ignorant the political candidates or the people in the positions really are on the subject. And they probably have a team around them who works on issues like this and brings it to their attention. But he did absolutely have nothing to say to that. And
speechless.
Really, I don't think anybody, to his credit, I don't think anybody could in that position. It's a total loss. And if I was him, I would be absolutely horrified by my party. And of course, only a few months later, they got kicked out. So
yeah, that's right. Oh, that's what happens. All right,
legalized.
That's right. It's break time, bottom of the hour. We'll take the break.
All right.
Okay, and then when we come back, we'll continue on with the story and interviewing Owen here. So when we return, Kim and I will continue our discussion with Owen. This is the Pace Radio Show. We are live here on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook and YouTube pages.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponics superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive. The only way to go.
CP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic. If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CP. The Pace Radio Network is the place to be for all your information from the world of psychedelics, because we are pleased to bring our listeners 2 shows focusing on psychedelic therapy in the world of natural medicine. First up, we have Open Your Eye, which airs on the 2nd and 4th Tuesday of each month. Open Your Eye is a 90-minute video podcast with Kim Cooper and Cindy Howell interviewing patients and professionals in the space. Patient stories, facilitators, lawyers, and others discuss their journeys and endeavors involving psychedelic medicine. But they're not done, because Kim and Cindy are back on alternate Tuesdays at 7 p.m. with Psychedelic Reporters as they bring along the show's mascot, Bufo, aka the Colorado Mud Toad, who is scouring the news wires for all the latest in psychedelic news. He then passes it on to Kim and Cindy to cover in this 60-minute video news podcast. So tune in every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern for Psychedelic Tuesdays right here on the Pace Radio Network, found at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net. Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the Pace Radio Show and watching the Pace Radio Show. We are live here at the Pace Radio Network's Facebook pages as well as YouTube. And yes, we'll be podcasted later at paceradio.net. If you missed live shows, you'll be able to catch them there, videos as well as the audio as we go along and build up more video stuff. Hey, Kim?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We finally got the Pace Radio Show on the video feed. I'm ecstatic. Now our entire station, our whole network is on video. I really enjoy this platform, and I think it expands the knowledge base just a little bit more.
Yes, and being able, we can take the audio from this video broadcast and still turn around and put it out on Spreaker, so that all our listeners that have been following us for the 9 years that the show has been going will still be able to hear us. We'll still be able to get the show.
That's right.
So.
It'll still be uploaded to all of our audio apps like Spotify and YouTube and all of the other ones that are out there, the audio apps that are out there like the cloud and all of those different ones. You've got the list. I've lost track of that list. Yeah, there's a gazillion of them. If there's an audio app out there, you'll find us.
We're there. We're there. All right. Tonight in the broadcast, besides Kim and I, we also have our guest, who is Owen Smith, and we'd like to welcome him back to the broadcast. Getting this next doobie ready there. I guess I just learned something there, Kim. Notify the guest when he's about to come back to the show.
Yeah, you say their name before you bring them in. Yeah, we say their name before we bring them in, so they know.
There you go. So yeah, before the break, we were talking about the court case, the challenge, the experience of being in the courtroom itself, and why some of the obvious things when it came to why extracts had to be allowed in the regulations instead of just being smoked cannabis, which was ridiculous. So Kim, did you want to keep going on the end of the court case? Was there more you wanted to dig into?
I just want to expand on one more little part on that last conversation we were having, because that's actually exactly where I was going. Just before that, I was going to bring that up. I think the one thing that really hit hard was, of course, the children's aspect. This is the children's medicine. Mandy and Kim and all of the other parents out there were actually breaking the law by turning this medicine into medicine that their children could consume. Every time they'd had that stuff turned into oil, they were breaking the law. They were administering it to their children, and they were breaking the law. I mean, that had to be nerve-wracking for those families. And for sure, that hit home with the judges. But the one thing that really stuck out for me that I still to this day talk about is when Kurt was up there and he started talking about extracts that people perhaps don't think of. And he used the comparison with grandma making her tea. That stuck with me. That really stuck with me. I don't know what it was about that, but it's still stuck with me. To this day, I talk about that. It's like, yeah, you know what? The kids, all of that, the oils, yeah. But grandma's in the kitchen and she puts a bud in her little tea ball and she adds hot water to that. Well, she could go to jail for doing
that point was what
that really struck a nerve, I think.
I think that's what really got it across to the judge in the first in our original trial. Well, one of our patient witnesses, Gina Herman, she would have tea as part of her daily regime, and basically, like the act of making a cup of tea is a simple extraction. So, when you have the tea bag and you lower it into the teapot, you have a teapot that is with the tea bag in it. Now it's made cannabis tea. So it was legal for her to have the tea in the teapot. But as soon as any of that liquid separated from the material in the tea bag, it's just already insane. But as soon as she poured it into a cup, then what's in the cup is illegal. What's in the pot is not. And the government's excuse for this it was that because they need to know how much cannabis you have. They need to know exactly the gram per weight. If you're over, then maybe you are committing a crime. Like these are patients.
Ooh.
These are you should not be thinking that they are criminals. So they were being considered to be criminals first, and that is not constitutional. And for the most ridiculous results of you think maybe people would try to drink out of the teapot or something, which is just ridiculous. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
Don't pour it in a cup.
Surely, right.
Yeah, don't pour it in a cup. It's legal in the pot, but not in the cup.
And because you've made it. What is it? You've processed it as well.
Yeah.
Well, that was a really easy one to understand. So much so that I wrote a letter to Queen Victoria with that example in it, because the monarch of England, you think you want to know how to have a cup of tea. She obviously knows the proper way of drinking a cup of tea, and this is not anything you do to civilized person, telling them that they should drink from the pot. But I mean, that's just one example to illuminate.
Because otherwise, it's pot.
The other one,
you must have your pot in a pot, right?
Indeed. The other one was the golf ball analogy. So when you think about the trichome,
yes,
it has this shape that kind of looks like a mushroom. But when we're thinking about the judge and what would the judge might be able to connect to, the golf ball on the tee. So
judges would understand golf balls and tees.
Based on golf, it's like
they understand that language.
Never looked close at cannabis, but he's played golf. So when you have a golf ball on the tee, it's very much like the trichome head on the end of the stalk. It's not meant to stay there. It's designed in such a way structurally that the ball, it falls off, the wind blows, the ball falls off. It's very, very much incidental, that you have an extraction occur. And the law was so ridiculous that it was impossible for even the people who were abiding by the law entirely to get around this, because you'd send a bag of cannabis to somebody, or a bottle of cannabis to somebody, and when they get the cannabis at their home and pull the bud out, technically what's left in the container is trichome heads, and it's an extraction. So there was all of this going on just because the law didn't make sense. And there's really no reason why people should be limited to the plant's body and the structure of the plant, the leaf matter, the branches, and all of this, when the plant itself produces its active compound very conveniently at the end of these little hairs all over its body. And that's all you need. So yeah, it's very simple. But it took
and of course,
a lot of detailed argument to get it through.
It did.
Yes,
it did. It was, and it was epic. I mean, listening to Kirk speak up there, it's the highlight of my life. I know that. I mean, I've never been to the Supreme Court before. I've never heard that caliber of legal wrangling going on. Lawyer court, little lower court stuff is nothing compared to what happened there. So, I mean, it was quite impactful for me. And it launched me onto the career that I have now here at the Pace Radio Network. I mean, that trial was the catalyst for that. I was already well on my way in the cannabis community, but that sent me like a rocket. It just energized so many people, I think, all at once. It's like the cannabis community, no matter what our differences, for that moment in time, we came together.
Yeah, we did. There's no doubt about that.
Well, we love our edibles, don't we? We do like our alternative methods.
When you look forward or look ahead now or look back, that case, because they became legal for patients, and you combine that into now with recreational cannabis, winning that case.
Without that case,
would we even have edibles in a store? Would we just be limited to maybe flour?
Oh, we wouldn't.
Well, I believe that it is because we had forced the government into the Section 56 exemptions at the time. They were scrambling to put something together for the medical patients. They had to do something for the recreational market, because it was exactly the same argument. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to think that somebody would have to go to the government and make that argument. But so I'm glad that it was all the way out of the way by the time that it became legal. I don't know how this would develop, how cannabis legalization and the regulations would develop in other countries. See what sort of hurdles they have to get over in terms of understanding the plant and how it's consumed. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it took a while to get a verdict. It was a little bit nerve-wracking waiting for me. I don't know how it was for you. I know everybody was pretty confident, but you know what they say, it isn't so until it's carved in stone. We need to hear those words, and then the verdict came down, and wasn't that a party?
Well, I remember it was a full day of interviews on the radio and on television. I was on live, which was really fun. I mean, similarly to getting arrested, knowing that you're probably going to be on national television if you win, you sit there and for me, you get baked a lot and you think about it over and over again. What did I say? And so I had already put together a good kind of talking points for that. And of course, I had good sort of discussions all along the way to help develop that with Kirk and with Ted Smith. And it just makes so much sense that it felt like a real honor just to be the person who could deliver that message. I always wanted to make sure I did it clearly and in a nice way, so that everybody, and I think a lot of folks, and I think about, everybody, not just the cannabis community, who were following and had been very supportive, but even at that point, getting on national news is sort of an access to living rooms of Canadians who may not have a good idea about cannabis, and try to provide them with an example of something which maybe they could relate to, that is sort of easy to digest. So just talking about our basic talking points that we have tonight, making it clear, I had a bowl of hash in my hand here, and with bud there, and as a visual aid. I mean, it's nice you got this medium now to talk. We could use visual aids and stuff like that. But
what about? Can you talk about?
I think you're muted, Al.
I'm muted. No, I'm not. Can you hear me, Kim?
No, we got you.
Okay,
I can hear
good.
you.
You can hear me? Okay, all right.
No, still can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Oh, wow.
Oh, no.
Owen's lost my audio.
Oh, no.
Nothing is showing here.
Refresh your audio.
Okay, hang on a second here.
I'll let him play with you play with some dials and chime in on us in a connect. Oh, and Sarah can hear Al as well. Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove him.
Oh, no, Owen.
I'm going to put Owen in the lounge and bring him back.
All right.
Okay, and William Stewart says he can hear me as well. So hang on.
Okay.
Let's see what happens, by removing him. Yeah, Sarah says she can hear everybody.
Yeah, Owen's having a problem hearing us.
All right.
Apparently, Sarah can hear us all, but Owen can't hear us.
Can you hear
us now?
Owen?
Yeah, I can hear you again.
Okay, super.
No?
Okay, good.
Gremlins.
Okay.
Yeah, he can hear us. He can hear us. All right. Gremlins.
Always gremlins. Go ahead, Al.
It happens in video as well as radio. Like, I know in the radio it happens all the time. In the video, as it says. Okay. Can you talk about the role that Ted and the VCBC, the Victoria Cannabis Buyer Club, and all that did, to get, from the beginning, and basically how they were involved in you getting to the Supreme Court?
Well, it was all about the VCBC. It's all about the membership and Ted Smith and his staff and everybody who worked there. They'd been raided, I think, 10 times before this, and defeated a number of challenges. Ted had been arrested one time. He was giving out 420 cannabis cookies in downtown Victoria, and he got arrested doing that. And I got like a $500 fine for that, which I think he raised money for that day doing another rally. But the bakery had been revolutionary, had been, improved greatly by the work of Gail Quinn, who was Ted's partner at the time. Yes. And she was a herbalist and brought in other herbs. So we had a massage oil line that developed with different combinations of other herbs with cannabis, which I always found very interesting in how herbs can complement cannabis. And had to help us develop the recipes into much more delicious options. and diverse options as well. So the recipe.
She had some amazing
teas as well. Yeah, she actually.
Yeah,
Ted,
she had some amazing teas.
Ted has launched her tea line that you can now find. I think maybe through the VCBC. You can find Gail's teas.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
Herbal medicine teas, and so the club was a part of this. The membership, the staff.
You did fundraisers. They did fundraisers, anything like along that line to help, because obviously this this costs money, right, to do this.
That's right.
It cost a lot of money.
Yeah, that's right. Over $140,000, I believe, in the end, which is a lot of money. And we had 6 years from the time I was arrested until I was finished through the courts. So, had a little bit of time to work on that. So over the years, we employed every kind of fundraising technique that we could come up with. Everything from like the GoFundMe stuff online to art auctions that we would host around town, to sort of bake sales or event nights. We tried to have fun as well as all along the time we was doing this, try to combine the purpose of raising money with thanks, Bill. There's a link now for the teas. The purpose with the advocacy too, so that we would have, we would continue to kind of build this out. We were concerned that the state of the media intelligence on the issue was too poor to do us justice, that they just wouldn't have time or the effort to put in to research this enough, and was just going to come out with articles that are pun headlines with basic sort of what's going on, but actually missing the point entirely. So we, launched had the Cannabis Digest, which is a newspaper, and it's online, cannabisdigest.ca, and it was the VCBC's newsletter for the membership for a while. So everybody knew when the events were, and they knew what was going on this month. We expanded. At one point, it was 40 plus pages being printed in 10,000 copies, sent out to dispensaries, head shops all across Canada, and even some internationally as well. And in this, we would feature articles related to the trial so that people would be able to read them and learn about this. There are other entities too that helped. Lift.ca. I don't know if Lift does even exist anymore, but back in the day, they were also helping to publish articles. So the internet was really, cannabis is kind of like the baby. Legalization is one of the babies of the internet, I think. And putting information out like you guys do, so that people can access it and learn about this stuff. That's what we took on as an important.
Cannabis Digest was great.
It's a good compliment.
Cannabis Digest was awesome.
Having a good communications plan to went along with this whole thing was essential. Otherwise, even if we did make it legal, people wouldn't really understand what had happened. So even still, I mean, I'm working on stuff right now related to this story with Ted. Ted is also working on some storytelling for the cannabis community, so that all these newcomers now who work for legal cannabis, they're learning to love cannabis. I mean, how could you not? It's just a wonderful plant, and it loves you. So how can you not love it back? And all the people who love it. We're doing this,
and they really should know the history.
They
really should know the history of how we got here.
Yeah, they can know how much love has been put into it already, and they can then pick that up and continue it on with it with their work. Because it's exciting these days with all of the new people who entered the cannabis business, and I feel like we can do a lot better. I feel like everybody, if we continue, I mean, it's obviously not on the first thing on everyone's mind with the COVID and everything for the last couple of years. But once we start to be able to advocate for cannabis more openly again, I know Ted is been itching.
Ready
to go. It's more to promote. There's more to talk about than this. We can bring this whole issue much further than we've got it so far. And it seems like a funny place now where we got it really far, and then everything's like, okay, well, don't talk about that now. Don't keep pushing that. But I know for myself and others, the issues are still live.
Exactly.
We need to get back into that.
Why don't we take our second break, and when we come back, why don't we talk more about that? What we would like to maybe see changed in the future, and to improve cannabis legalization here in Canada.
Absolutely. You're reading my mind.
All righty. Let me get things set here before I go to that break.
All right. You go on to your proper
As I said, time for that break. And for our listeners and watchers, I got to remember that. You're about to hear and see from our sponsors. When we return, Kim and I will continue our conversation with Owen Smith. You're watching the Pace Radio Show here on the Pace Radio Network, Facebook, and YouTube pages. You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
The People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network, found at paceradio.net, provides its listeners with news, information, and a place to be heard. This is done through our 5 weekly live video and audio broadcasts that cover cannabis and psychedelic news, plus those we interview. We get started Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern with the Reefer Reporters. Then at 9 p.m. we're live with Canna Quebec. Tuesday brings you Open Your Eye or the Psychedelic Reporters at 7 p.m. Wednesday at 8, we are live with the Pace Radio Show. But we're not done yet, because on Thursday, the Reefer Reporters return with another Reefer Report. Meanwhile, once a month, Thursdays bring you the Grassroots Advocate, the Pace Radio Network's audio magazine. All these shows, plus more, are found right here on paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
What is the People Advocating Cannabis Education Radio Network? It's a network of people advocating cannabis education.
CTCP operates a medicinal cannabis signing clinic If you want to grow your own medicinal cannabis and are located anywhere in Canada, then I'd like to suggest that you give them a call. They can be reached at 1-613-967-9888. That's 1-613-967-9888, and grow on with CTCP.
Who has huge buds? You do. If you shop at BMA Hydroponics, attend one of BMA's educational seminars and learn the secrets of growing, harvesting, processing, and consuming quality cannabis and cannabis products. Learn how to make better extracts, edibles, and medicinal creams at prices you can afford. Visit BMA Hydroponics at 404 Maitland Drive, Belleville, or call 613-967-9888.
The only way to go.
We are people advocating cannabis education here at paceradio.net. Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning into the Pace Radio Show. We are being broadcasted live and in video at the Pace Radio Show and Facebook and YouTube's channel. You okay, Kim? All right.
I think forcing 4 dabs in that little break might have been a little bit much.
It might have been. Here, I'll finish and you catch your breath. Tonight on the program, we are joined by our guest, longtime cannabis advocate and the man who took on the government. That would be Mr. Owen Smith. Welcome to the Pace Radio, back to the Pace Radio Show so we can finish our interview and see what we think the future is going to lead to. We've been talking about how, your case and everything, and we also blended it into the legalization and recreational cannabis for all the edible products, so on and so forth. So where do we, for now, we're going to go forward and look at where do you think cannabis is going to end up going? Like, what are things that we feel can be changed and updated?
I think it's one of these perspective things where for us, like we've been involved for so long. Yeah, like I was saying, there's people who are just getting involved with it now. And for them, it's just getting started. So it's all open roads for some people. And it's up to them how they're going to deal with it, how they will interact with it going forward. One of the most interesting places for me in that is with First Nations in Canada, where so we've got people who have traditional medicinal herbal use, but they don't have a long established relationship potentially with this plant, and like the rest of us are on the end, the butt end of 100 years of terrible information through cannabis prohibition, through misinformation, through outright lies and deception. Basically creating the idea that cannabis is a bad thing, and then creating all kinds of consequences to being connected to it. It's going to take a while for people to shake the stigma that is attached to cannabis. But there's it could do all sorts of wonderful things that we haven't yet seen. Like what I would like from my experience with cannabis is the community aspect of it. Ted Smith's what he's built down there with the VCBC. For me, I see it as kind of a community model, and it's a non-profit organization that takes care of people down there in downtown Victoria. And it's continued to do that for a long time. I worked in a few other places as well. I worked for another cannabis company on Vancouver Island that was like a franchised dispensary outfit. And it wasn't the same model, and it didn't produce the same community.
The differences are really, the differences are huge, eh?
That's right.
In the corporate sort of structure as compared to the community level structures, the differences are wild.
And I experienced those differences on like a feeling level too. Just didn't feel good to, after a while, being in working for somebody whose sole motive was profit. And so I spent a little bit of time in the legal cannabis industry in the last couple of years, working with Aurora Cannabis. And I joined their social responsibility team and worked with a group of really wonderful, talented individuals who I was really proud to be working with. And over the two and a half years that I was there, that idea of having a corporation that is socially responsible, that's doing wonderful things, well, that was so appealing to me, especially in this cannabis role, because how cannabis people, they really want to be contributing to good things in the world. But unfortunately, that company hasn't succeeded like they thought. I think a far distance from expectations. And like many of these large corporate entities now, they've shrunk dramatically. They're most recently reducing sort of their projections and expectations on how much cannabis money they're going to make from cannabis. I think the most recent one was the Tilray had been doing that because it's just not worked out well for them.
I think there was a report recently that was out that they've actually downgraded, like as far as what their expectations were, or something along that line.
That's what I was thinking about that right then. So I think with that idea of cannabis,
I think there's
certain people lots
there's
of
a lot
money,
of differences, right?
That idea being, it seems like a losing idea, and I really am brought back to the idea of this community model and of small communities who would really benefit from having cannabis just integrated into how they care for themselves. Whether it is a community that is ravaged by opiate addictions and otherwise diseases or disabilities that sometimes that leads you to the need for opiates, which then can lead to having an addiction to them. So having the options in communities could help to transform. Health is so important for every part of life. So how people perform in society, whatever they're good at, it's going to be hinged on how healthy they are. So cannabis can come in and improve one or another of these essential functions, then who knows what good that.
I know our sponsor, in conjunction with St. Fatty's Day, they're working on creating healing centers to deal with opiate addictions on the reserves. They want to try to get them right across the country, and they've started a GoFundMe thing. Tim's already donated 5 acres of land for them to build one in Tyaganaga. Cannabis coming to the rescue.
Yeah,
I'm currently,
and I think you touched on a minor point there. He's like, there's stark differences in some of the members of the cannabis community of today, because so many newbies are here now. There's those of us that have been in cannabis in one way or another for decades.
Right.
And then there's a lot of the newbies. I think those of us that are embedded, ingrained in cannabis, use cannabis as a medicine. We're seeing people. I think you need to make a choice at this point, since legalization. Legalization did change the playing field for sure, and not necessarily how we all thought it would. Shift and adapt, as they say, and try and work with what we got and make it better. That's all well and good, but I think you got to pick a side at this point on where you're going to put your focus if you're going to make change. because
I think
rec
we can help.
and med are very different landscapes, right? And a lot of people have chosen to dive into the rec end and become, micro growers and this and that and sell to the LPs and everything else, while others are sort of honing in their focus on med. It seems like you're going the med route. Am I wrong?
No, it's interesting point. I think about the newbies that have come into cannabis. So people who I was just working with Aurora. I mean, some of these folks have expertise from bringing it in from all these different industries, and these are things which could really help propel cannabis to different like parts of the world. They could help, whether it's sort of lobbyists who can get into the government and change their minds, or it's scientists who are studying something that could, really help people, and that would help break into, a new area, or it's the people figuring out logistics of moving that much cannabis around the world into different regulatory places. I always felt like at Aurora that all of these people working with all of these people with all these skills from all around was like this wonderful benefit, but there was something missing. There was a connection or a link. And I felt like, when I'm saying this communications, I feel like the cannabis community can inspire these people, that we can welcome them. We can have, I think if we can get in the same room, I think that helps a lot. It's a struggle to get people to really feel where you're coming from with cannabis and your experience and everything, in text-based formats and stuff like that, and emails and even little video meetings don't totally work for that.
Yeah, the personal interaction.
Absolutely.
And as advocates, we're seeing the benefits. We're seeing the change in people, and you're part of all that.
Acceptance
we're part
is
of.
growing.
We're one of 50,000 people at a march annually. Whether it's in Vancouver or whether it's in Toronto, you got little marches in smaller places like what Kim was organizing, all speaking out. And they experienced that, and they had passion to be there to do it and to speak up. And when the new stuff comes in, like you say, there may be they didn't experience that, so it's you got to explain it to them, and without experiencing it, it is different.
There's something that we had going for us before that the legal industry doesn't have going, which is just this, what we developed is the wild instincts in the Wild West, that we knew that we could move, that we could make things happen in using the mechanisms of society, wherein, because these mega giant corporations have so much to lose, they just don't seem to want to do anything to stir the pot. Wherein before it was just wild firing, like, let's stir all the pots, and so we can change as much as possible. I'm looking forward to what I feel like is going to be the development of the smaller businesses. I know here in BC, there's been a lot of talk about opening it up to allow small businesses, small cannabis farms here to sell direct to retailers, have their own little shops, and maybe even consumption areas.
Farm gate sales. Yeah, we've got. I think we got 2 or 3.
I mean,
we got
that's
2 or
what we
3 here
need.
in Ontario. Yeah, we got 2 or 3 here in Ontario right now.
As the power rises, then, or shifts, like it seems to need to do, to the more decentralized cannabis network of businesses, I think in that, then we'll gain more strength again to start pushing. Maybe we'll find people who are willing to push the envelope a little bit more. But now we're also dealing with governments, which are for the first time seem also interested in getting involved with the business, or they're so involved with the business now that we prefer for them to just step back a little bit, like with the provincial warehouses. So there's tweaks that
overreaching
can be
big
done,
brother.
and I feel like there's a long way still to go. We are, in a year 3 or something of this, and many other countries may still come on board for reasons which could relate more intimately to their citizens than it does even to our own progress. Like in Mexico, where you have a Supreme Court of Mexico ruling that they have to change the law. Cannabis has
How long we been reporting on Mexico, Al?
Oh, geez,
Mexico is in our weekly broadcast news for what, 3-4 years now, and it's been the same tagline. Any day now, next week. Oh, there's a deadline. They have to do it by now. It's been 4 years of that. I mean, I know they have siesta down there, but this is
it's
taking
getting
a while.
really ridiculous in Mexico. But what I have seen is when the UN changed their declaration on the cannabis end of things, then
that's when a lot of things started changing.
Other countries, some countries were talking about, well, the UN doesn't look at it this way anymore, so we're going to change our policy,
Right.
and they're going ahead and changing the policy. So more countries are legalizing. So it's just slowly but surely, a brick comes out of the wall, and prohibition's falling down in more places around the world on the cannabis end, which is good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
and stores everywhere is garnering acceptance with people, because now when you walk past that cannabis store every day, or 4 of them in your 4-block walk, after doing that for a while, it's like the liquor store. You don't even see it. It's part of life. It's part of the landscape. You don't bat an eye, so you're no longer every time you walk by. So there is that. Legalization gave us that too. My only problem with legalization is it came on the backs of patients. There's been no movement in the patient care level. Products coming out with milligrams of like 10 milligram caps. Patient like me, what, I'm supposed to eat 6 gummies for breakfast? I mean, what the hell is that? Why don't they have a line with, rec 10 milligrams coming off here? These ones are 30 or 25 or 50 or whatever, to supply patients that have a prescription. We aren't eligible. Like we can't get these products in a dosage that'll actually work with us.
Why
without consuming all kinds of bad things like sugar. That's my only problem with legalization.
When you walk into
advancement in patient meds hasn't come along the way rec has. They left
when
us
you walk
behind.
when you walk into a pharmacy, you can get all kinds of products, and then you can go to a specific counter and you can get your prescription drugs. Well, why can you not go into a cannabis store and they have the same idea? They've got products that you can buy, but they've got a section in there that is separate, where you can actually go in there and get medical grade cannabis products. So you're not doing 6 gummies or 10 capsules or 100 capsules or whatever. And on the rec end of things, like, really, is the government now into selling drugs to get people stoned because of capsules? Because they're always telling people, don't share your prescription drugs, or don't share pills, and they're selling pills. As a recreational.
And they're putting anything. The whole that pisses me off. That we got left behind. I mean, wouldn't have legalization today if it wasn't for patients.
I would say that we shouldn't be too concerned. I mean, as like a this or something to medical patients. None of the way that cannabis was legalized recreationally is not like the way we got any of our medical rights.
It's a recreation. It's recreationally done, and the stores are recreational.
Everything that we got for medical came through fighting in the courts. So I don't know.
Absolutely.
We can't really.
But we had LP.
We can't really expect
LPs
anything.
were concentrating on making products, right? Like they made tinctures for patients. They were creating products for patients because we were their market. As soon as rec came in, all that stopped. And
You're
they
not blaming,
focus
you're not
on
blaming the
making 10
LPs. You're
milligram
blaming,
gummies
yeah,
and
you're
10
blaming the
milligram
government
teas,
regulation.
Well, I know
and
there
they
are
blame government
LPs,
regulation for it.
like
Go ahead.
Aurora has a medical shop. I know that for all the LPs, Aurora does sort of lean heavily into their medical sales because the recreational sales isn't as good.
Seen
So
that
I
on
think
the Reef Reporters.
for some of the LPs, getting out of the medical and going entirely to recreational, that was their own choice.
Yeah.
They were based on revenue.
I look at it as more as just the regulations need to be changed. It's not. I don't look at it as the LPs need to change. I look at it as the regulations or the act needs to be updated in order to allow that. Because according to the National Cannabis Survey that was released this year and just recently, they said that 54% of the people who did the survey, they go to the stores for medical purposes. So people are accessing the stores for medical purposes and going there for their cannabis.
Well, there are continued and have been continued legal actions against the government that relate to medical. So for people who need stronger oils, there have been like families that continue to make those oils and have been busted and have challenged the laws. I understand like these challenges are very difficult for people to go through and fight because it's a medical necessity for people, and that's something that we argued and is well established. But for recreational, I mean, it's a slightly different approach and argument to make just for regular folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well,
I know, but yeah. Anyway, what do you got going on now? You're going to focus on the medical end. It sounded like you're looking like you want to go back to community based. So do you have a plan for that?
Well, I've been on the board for a couple of years with a group called PAC, People Advocating Cannabis.
Okay, yeah, we know who they are.
They are involved currently writing a study for Anishinaabe Nation in Ontario. That is a feasibility study for whether or not they want their nations to be involved with cannabis. So I've been helping out with this, and it's deeply fascinating. I've over the last couple of years been in communications with some First Nations in BC here that have interest in developing their own cannabis economies, and I'm currently unemployed, taking a little bit of time to do some more writing, but also sort of setting myself up for the next stage, which is kind of unclear for me at this point. But we'll see where I'm needed the most, I think. And
sounds like time will tell.
There's still lots of time for me to improve myself, my offerings to the cannabis community, and with the reopening of society, I'll be right ready to hop back on to any sort of community cannabis activities that we've got going.
All right. Good stuff.
Right on. Writing. Who are you writing for? Anybody in particular? Is there places that we can find some of your stuff?
Well, I'm not publishing right now. I'm not sure if the study will be public. But
oh, there we go. We got a little bit there. It's a study.
Yeah, there's a study with the Anishinaabe First Nation.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay. Yes, that one.
Yeah. But I'm writing about the trial and about my experiences with the trial. So I'm hoping to hammer that out sooner than later, and so that people, as we've talked about throughout this show, that they can know how much fun working in cannabis has been, and how much fun they can have now that they're involved with it. Fun,
so
but challenging.
Are we talking possible book here? Is that where we're leaning, Owen?
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
What it sounds like.
I'm gonna have a bit of a book, and there should be a complimentary book as well this year, produced with Ted Smith that
Nice.
highlights all of the
Nice.
recipes, dives a little bit more into product types and stuff like that, and even some of the background story of Ted Smith and how he got the bakery to where it was before I showed up. So there's lots of great stories, and yeah, should be really good read.
And as we know, Ted's experience in writing a book, he wrote one as well.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
the history and uses of cannabis sativa.
That's right. Exactly. I remember the book tour as well. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
writers in our midst everywhere. This is
That's
so
right.
awesome. And you know, our stories, there's so many. They need to be told. They really do, because that's how we got here. And that can't be forgotten.
No, that's right.
Well, thank you guys for helping me tell my story tonight.
Oh no, that's we appreciate you coming on and telling it, because it's important. Like I know when I was writing with Cannabis Digest, telling stories was important, and Ted got me to write stories like on Allison and Russell Barth.
Yeah.
Talking about their experiences, and that helps educate other people for what they went through, and no matter how old they are, it's still good. It's still history. It's still advocacy. That is history for people to read. Like you say, new people coming into cannabis community, there is a trail. There are stories of the work that so many people did.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep. That's right.
So,
That's right. It's been one epic journey for everybody involved. We've all got stories to tell, and the more that get them down on paper or in blogs or whatever, videos, whatever you're going to do, pick a format, but start talking, and let these new up and coming people into this industry know who they should be thanking.
Yeah, and here at Pace Radio, on the Pace Radio Show, we like sharing patient stories and people's stories. Because Owen, like when you started your journey, you weren't even a patient. So
that's right.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else we want? There's a lot that we could talk about. We could go on for hours. But
yeah. But we got the
anything?
core of it out. I think we got the core out. And of course, Owen, you're no stranger to the show, but it's been a very long time. We'll have to have you back on in a much earlier time frame than the last.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah. And learn more about you. You like to do poetry, more on your writing. You do audio and video stuff. So there's lots more to Owen Smith than just.
I've got cannabis poetry. I got cannabis poems.
Cannabis poetry. There you go.
Nice.
Chris Lawson
we'll do a cannabis poetry set.
Yeah. Chris Lawson there in Hamilton. He's in the cannabis poetry, as well as Jesus, his name's slipping my mind right now, unfortunately. But he was at the Treating Yourself Expos and the whole bit. Unfortunately, I just can't think of his name right now. Big down in the U.S. on it all. So, but it's good. It's good. It's educational within the poems. You can share all kinds of information there. So, all right. So shout out, Owen. Person, place, a thing, a website. You got more than one. Feel free. If you've mentioned it during the broadcast, feel free to mention it again as well.
Yeah. I'll just gotta give solid thanks to the core people involved, like my sister, the original inspiration, Gail Quinn, for teaching me everything I knew. Sandra Carlson, Ruth Arthurs, and Gina Herman, the patient witnesses in the trial, the real heroes, Ted Smith, and all medical cannabis patients. Thank you.
There you go. Kim?
I'm not prepared for a shout out, so I'm going to give my shout out to Psychedelic Tuesdays. Psychedelic Tuesdays here on the Pace Radio Network, happening each and every Tuesday. We have the second and the fourth Tuesday of every month. We have Open Your Eye, a patient and entrepreneur and professional in the space, being interviewed on a one-on-one broadcast, very similar to the Pace Radio show that you're watching tonight, only based in the psychedelic space. Alternating weeks to that show, we have the Psychedelic Reporters. Joint host Cindy Howell and myself. We talk about mainstream media news on the psychedelic front. There's a lot of stuff going on that front, and we bring it to you live 2 to 3 times a month with the one and only Bufo Alvarius as our mascot for the show. So join us here on the network at 7 p.m. for Psychedelic Tuesdays.
And I'm going to throw a shout out to the two people I'm staring at right now, you and Owen. Kim, without you experimenting, I believe about a year ago with StreamYard over your holiday breaks, we would still be doing radio. We wouldn't have all these shows and video. That was your journey that got things into this, and now we're here. All of us are here doing this. So, and to Owen as well. Owen, you were you were there for the first show, very first show when we did radio, and here you are, very first show once again for us to do it in video. Thank you for being part of us. It's
my pleasure.
Part of the history, man. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay. Other than that. Just a reminder that we'll be back. Kim and I'll be back next week yet again in video, and that our guest will be a patient who's coming on board to share their story. I believe the patient is being joined with their spouse, so it'll be the two of them, and they'll be here talking about it next week. So tune in for that. Other than that, you can find the Pace Radio Network. We're on Twitter at Pace Radio. You can find the Pace Radio Show and the network on Facebook. We're on Instagram. You can find us online at paceradio.net as well as pace-online.ca. Thank yous go to our sponsors, bmahydroponics.com, legacy420.com, the Campbellford Lifestyle Shop in downtown Campbellford, and Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions. You can find them at Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming or drbuckcts.com. And big thank you to you, Owen, for coming on the program. We really appreciate you doing so. And to Kim, thank you. As I said, thanks for giving us the StreamYard end of things, and thank you for everything. People, you do things behind the show,
happy to be
and
here.
People don't, people don't see that. It just all slowly comes out.
I play and then I show Al and I say, "Hey, look what I found."
Look what I found. Yeah. All right. Other than that, thank you to our watchers and soon our listeners. Thank you for tuning into the program. The opinions of the individuals during this broadcast are their own and may not be the opinions of their group or other organizations they may be involved with.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.
BMA Hydroponics has everything you need to succeed. Visit our hydroponic superstore at 404 Maitland Drive in Belleville, and we'll show you how to grow your own quality cannabis for pennies per gram. We're open Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Thursdays and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Call 613-967-9888. BMA Hydroponics. It's worth the drive.
The only way to go.
At Legacy 420, we believe in being different.
Experience the difference of quality control.
Our labs provide tested formulations for all of our products.
Experience the difference in trust.
Our customers can trust that we are following up-to-date COVID precautions for their safety.
Experience the difference in accessibility.
We're open 7 days a week. Please visit our website, legacy420.com, or contact us for curbside pickup as well as nationwide mail order shipping.
Legacy 420 values overall wellness.
Come and experience the difference of Legacy 420.
Did you know that the Pace Radio Network isn't just a radio network? That's right, because most, but not all of our programming is now done via video and is then podcasted at paceradio.net. So if you want to watch our programming, you'll find us on the Pace Radio Network's Facebook page, plus the show's own page, and you'll find us live on the network's YouTube channel. And don't forget, you can find it all, video and audio, at paceradio.net.
A doctor's job is to relieve your pains. And when it comes to growing cannabis, the biggest pain is trimming. Let Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions take the pain away. Whether you're a home grower or a commercial operation, we have the cure. From 4 plants to 400 plants, garden size doesn't matter. Dr. Buck Cannabis Trimming Solutions comes to you with years of experience and professional discreet service. It's simple. We trim your weed and we do a damn good job. Visit drbuckcts.com to book your trimming.
Enjoy the buzz of legalization with Campbellford Lifestyle Shop. From lights to plant nutrients, books, consumption accessories, and more, we've got all your basics to grow or consume cannabis. Visit our info center or take a look at our piercing services and body jewelry, now available in-store through Campbellford Lifestyle Shop, 17 Bridge Street West, Campbellford.
You're listening to the Pace Radio Network here at paceradio.net.